Good day, level cast learners. Today, we embark on a profound exploration of a pivotal chapter in 20th century history, the Vietnam War. This conflict, far more than a mere military engagement, was a crucible that reshaped global geopolitics, challenged superpower ideologies, and left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of nations. Our journey will delve into the intricate tapestry of events that led to its genesis, the ideological clashes that fueled its protracted duration, and the far-reaching consequences that reverberated across continents. We will unravel the complex motivations of the key players, from the nascent nationalist movements seeking self-determination to the Cold War superpowers locked in a proxy struggle for global dominance. Understanding the Vietnam War is not simply about memorizing dates and battles. It is about grasping the profound human cost of ideological confrontation, the challenges of asymmetric warfare, and the enduring legacy of a conflict that continues to inform contemporary international relations. Prepare to engage with a narrative rich in historical detail, moral ambiguities, and the unwavering spirit of those who lived through it. This is a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the often unforeseen ripple effects of political decisions made half a world away. We will examine how the struggle for independence in a small Southeast Asian nation became intertwined with the broader Cold War narrative, transforming a localized conflict into a global flashpoint that captivated and divided the world. The roots of the Vietnam War are deeply embedded in Vietnam's colonial past and the post-World War II landscape. For decades, Vietnam had been a French colony, part of French Indochina, and its people yearned for independence. This aspiration found its charismatic leader in Ho Chi Minh, a fervent nationalist and communist who, inspired by the American Declaration of Independence, declared Vietnam's independence in 1945. However, France, unwilling to relinquish its colonial holdings, initiated the First Indochina War. This conflict, lasting from 1946 to 1954, culminated in the decisive French defeat at Dien Bien Phu, a strategic valley fortress. The subsequent Geneva Accords of 1954 temporarily divided Vietnam at the 17th parallel, with the north governed by Ho Chi Minh's communist forces and the south by a non-communist regime, ostensibly leading to nationwide elections in 1956. Yet, these elections never materialized, largely due to concerns from the United States and the South Vietnamese government that Ho Chi Minh would overwhelmingly win. The U.S., operating under the domino theory, feared that if Vietnam fell to communism, other Southeast Asian nations would follow suit, thus expanding Soviet and Chinese influence. Consequently, Washington began to bolster the South Vietnamese government, providing significant financial and military aid. This support gradually escalated, transforming what was initially a civil conflict into a proxy battleground for the Cold War superpowers. The Viet Cong, a South Vietnamese communist guerrilla force supported by North Vietnam, began an insurgency against the South Vietnamese government, further destabilizing the region and drawing the United States deeper into the quagmire. The stage was thus set for the full-scale American intervention, driven by a complex mix of geopolitical strategy, anti-communist ideology, and a perceived moral imperative to support a fledgling democracy against an encroaching totalitarian threat. The American involvement escalated dramatically in the mid-1960s, following the Gulf of Tonkin incident in August 1964, which provided the pretext for President Lyndon B. Johnson to secure congressional approval for expanded military action. What began as an advisory role morphed into a full-scale military commitment, with hundreds of thousands of American troops deployed to Vietnam. The United States employed its superior airpower and technological might, launching extensive bombing campaigns like Operation Rolling Thunder and engaging in search and destroy missions. However, they faced a formidable and elusive enemy, the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army, who masterfully utilized guerrilla tactics, intricate tunnel networks, and the dense jungle terrain to their advantage. The war became a brutal struggle of attrition, characterized by intense jungle combat, booby traps, and the psychological toll of an unseen enemy. The Tet Offensive in January 1968, a coordinated series of surprise attacks by North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces across South Vietnam, proved to be a turning point. Although a military defeat for the Communists, it shattered American public confidence, exposing the government's overly optimistic assessments of the war's progress and fueling a burgeoning anti-war movement at home. The images of intense urban combat, particularly in Saigon, broadcast into American living rooms, irrevocably altered public perception. This period also saw significant social upheaval in the United States, with widespread protests, civil disobedience, and a profound generational divide emerging over the morality and efficacy of the war. The conflict was no longer confined to the battlefields of Vietnam. It was being fought in the streets and hearts of America, challenging the very fabric of its society and forcing a re-evaluation of its role in global affairs. As the war dragged on, the political and social costs mounted exponentially. President Richard Nixon, elected on a promise to end the war, initiated a policy of Vietnamization, gradually withdrawing American troops while simultaneously increasing aerial bombing campaigns and expanding the conflict into Cambodia and Laos. This strategy, while reducing American casualties, failed to achieve a decisive military victory. The Paris Peace Accords were signed in January 1973, officially ending direct American military involvement and providing for a ceasefire and the withdrawal of remaining U.S. troops. However, the peace was fragile and short-lived. Without American support, the South Vietnamese government struggled to contain the North Vietnamese offensive. In April 1975, North Vietnamese forces captured Saigon, renaming it Ho Chi Minh City, and effectively unifying Vietnam under communist rule. The fall of Saigon marked the definitive end of the Vietnam War. The war's legacy is multifaceted and profound. For Vietnam, it was a devastating conflict that cost millions of lives, both military and civilian, and left the country ravaged. Yet, it also achieved its long-sought independence and unification. For the United States, the war was a deeply divisive and traumatic experience, resulting in over 58,000 American deaths and countless wounded, both physically and psychologically. It eroded public trust in government, challenged the nation's sense of moral righteousness, and ushered in an era of greater skepticism regarding foreign interventions. The Vietnam Syndrome became a term used to describe America's reluctance to commit troops abroad. Globally, the war demonstrated the limitations of superpower military might against a determined nationalist movement and influenced subsequent geopolitical strategies, particularly concerning proxy conflicts and counterinsurgency warfare. Its impact continues to resonate, shaping discussions about national identity, military strategy, and the enduring costs of conflict.
That was a really comprehensive overview of the Vietnam War.
Yes, it truly highlighted the complexity of the conflict.
I hadn't fully grasped the colonial origins before.
The French involvement was certainly a critical precursor.
And the domino theory seems so pivotal to U.S. intervention.
Absolutely. It shaped Cold War foreign policy significantly.
The Tet Offensive was a major turning point, wasn't it?
It definitely shifted public opinion in the U.S.
The human cost on all sides was immense.
It's a stark reminder of war's devastating impact.
Vietnamization was an interesting strategy by Nixon.
It aimed to reduce American casualties while maintaining support.
And the fall of Saigon marked a definitive end.
It unified Vietnam, albeit under communist rule.
The Vietnam Syndrome is a lasting legacy.
It influenced future U.S. foreign policy decisions.
This historical context is so vital for understanding today's world.
Indeed, history offers invaluable lessons.
I feel much more informed now.
Me too. Keep learning, Levelcasters.
Until next time, Levelcasters, keep exploring, keep growing.